What's going on, guys? Happy May. I just wanted to give a quick update on what's new with the 180 gallon reef tank. There's a lot of changes, so I'll kind of talk about what's going on up here, and then I'll take you guys downstairs and show you what's new and different in the basement, because that's where a lot of the changes have taken place in the last week or so. One of the issues I was dealing with was a lot of variation in the water level in the external overflow box, which is something I'm still kind of struggling with. As the two gyres, which work opposite one another, alternate, the water level in the overflow box is rising and falling and causing some noise, and you might hear it as I sort of walk around the tank. The return pump I had was the Jabo DC T15000. It just was barely enough for this system. I mean, I was just getting a trickle of water up here. And so I've known for a while that a return pump upgrade was in the works, but it just sort of, the time was right. So I upgraded the return pump. I'll take you downstairs and show you what's new and different down there in a minute. But let's sort of start up here. Not a lot of changes in this tank. Everything's doing really well. I kind of got the Kalkwasser dose figured out. I'm actually dosing somewhere in the ballpark of like 2,000 milliliters a day of Kalkwasser through my dosing pump. I've mentioned this I think in videos before, I've never been a huge fan of Kalk in top off because then it's so dependent on evaporation. I'd rather have a little bit more control with it, so I'm just using one of the heads on my Jabo dosing pump to dose Kalk, and it's really kept the pH up, and the coral growth has just been crazy. I mean, like this purple stylophora, I mean, you can go back and look at pictures from just 6 months ago when it was a frag, and now you're talking about a small colony. So it's just, I mean, there are no real major issues in this tank. You know, fish, all the fish, same fish. Fish are healthy and happy. I haven't changed the fish in here in 6 months or more. One issue is, and you can see it right here, let me see if I can get the camera to zoom, has been tissue recession. Come on, zoom, there you go. On this coral and a couple others, and I thought maybe flatworms, acro-eating flatworms. It's a red planet, which is kind of browned out because I think it's unhappy. And it's also got, massive chew marks all over it. And I think you can maybe see down here on this Monty something similar. And I thought, well, it could be acro-eating flatworms, but it's not affecting a lot of the other corals, so I don't want to tear everything apart, because it's really just that one coral. I've seen it on a few others around the tank, and I actually think I figured out the culprit. I think it's Asterina starfish. Some nasty ones. I've had them in tanks in the past with no issues, but I was doing some reading, and it looks like there's some benign ones and some not benign ones, and I constantly am seeing the Asterina starfish. You can actually see a couple of them are hanging out right around the base of here. Camera doesn't want to focus. So I'm on my way to go grab a harlequin shrimp to take care of those suckers, because I'm done with that crap. And we'll see if that is in fact the cause of my tissue recession on, at least on that colony. I mean, everything else, you can just see this guy basing out like crazy. The Miyagi tort, it's growing like crazy. This guy, I don't know, a green stag something, crazy growth. This other Miyagi tort grows very differently, but still all those new tips, all those light tips are new. That guy's I think an ORA frog skin or something along those lines, and you can see the new growth. is substantial. I added a couple of SPS frags. That one doing really well. This one, camera does not want to focus through the glass. That one and a few others, and they're all doing well, which I've been pleased with. This guy right here has got really nice, the greenish one in the middle there, really nice purple tips on it too. And then the LPS are all growing great. I actually fragged, and I'll show you down in the basement, I fragged the torches, the gold and the green torches, and the frags are doing great downstairs too. So that's really what's going on up here, aside from maybe the need for a harlequin shrimp. There's no changes in this tank. Everything's doing well. I've just got to sort out what's going on with balancing the drains. It's driving me nuts, but it's not hurting anything. It's just irritating me. As far as, let's pan around the room. This is our living room. This guy, the soft coral / mangrove tank, continues to grow in soft coral. There's a couple different leathers in there, some mushrooms. My two clowns that never swim around in the big tank and never swim around in the small tank. They hide in the corners all the time. They are in here with some snails and hermits and a pygmy hawkfish who's hiding right now, and a yellow watchman goby who's also hiding out right now, but everybody's in here and healthy and happy. Hope I can actually see the pygmy hawkfish is hiding down there. There he is. There's this little face poking out. So this tank is doing splendidly well. There's the only light on it is this little LED bar that hides behind the rim. So it gets a nice little blue. And then the window light, so it sits in these two windows, and the sun has not been out in weeks here in Western New York. But it gets afternoon light, and the leathers are growing, or the nepthias or whatever these are doing well. So they must be getting enough light. I will probably add some supplemental light in here, and I'm still planning on putting some mangroves in this. So that'll happen at some point. It's eShop's Eclipse Overflow. I had a ball valve on there, and I actually swapped it out for a gate valve. It makes it just a little bit easier to adjust on the drain. And it's a little bit louder than silent right now because I just turned the return pump back on a little while ago. So it's adjusting. So I'll kind of back out of the room here and give you guys a shot of the two tanks. They sit in what is our kitchen, living room, and then the dining room is over here behind me. I'm standing at the front door of the house. So when you first come in, that's the view, and it's beautiful, and thrilled with it. So not a lot of changes upstairs. Let me take you downstairs and run you through what's going on down there. All right, so we are downstairs, and my guess is the sound is a lot louder on the video than it is down here. It's not loud down here by any stretch. Our electrician is coming. Today is Saturday. The electrician is coming on Sunday to expand our panel, because the panel is maxed out, and run 3 new circuits for the basement remodel. We're finishing that part of the basement. There'll be a living room there, a bathroom over there, a bedroom over there, and let me back up. This area, you can actually see the tape on the floor, will be my fish room. It'll sort of come from that jut out to that jut out to about where that skimmer is sitting. Wall will be here. Door will be where this 40 breeder is, and there will be an in-wall tank right here, right where that little stool is. So he's running, right now I've got everything running off of a disgusting mess of power strips plugged into power strips, because there's just not a lot of outlets over here. So he's going to run a dedicated 20 amp circuit for this room with multiple GFCI outlets. So that'll happen on Monday, which is 2 days from now. So looking forward to that. And then we can get moving on with the basement finish project. The biggest change down here is this guy. It's a Reef Flow Hammerhead Barracuda Gold hybrid pump. I have the smaller impeller in there, so I think it's like 4,300 gallons an hour. It's plumbed up with 1.5 inch. This was 1 inch piping. I actually just changed it out last night. So it goes from rigid to flex, and then it comes up here. And I replaced the manifold this morning, this morning, with 1.5 inch into the 1/2 inch push connect, and then back into the 1 inch. And I know I'm losing some flow, but it's honestly more than I need anyways. So it doesn't matter. And if I needed more flow, I actually have it gated back or valved back just a little bit. If I needed more flow, I could just switch to the larger impeller. So that's the biggest change. I had to drill this, the sump for 1.5 inch bulkhead, just relatively easy. And then install the pump. It is pretty quiet. It sounds like a fan. It's probably louder on the video than it is for me. And then there's on the right hand side is I hard plumbed the drain from the 25 gallon cube. Is the one on the left, I'm sorry, the 1 inch pipe coming down on the left is the hard plumbing from the cube, and the 3/4 inch on the right is the drain from the frag tank, just over here. So right now I'm just running this 4-bulb tech light, and the corals are doing fine. It's a little cloudy in here. I'm using my old J-bows for flow, so there is plenty of flow in here. So much flow that I had to put some rubble rock in there to hold the egg crate down. But like the torch frags are doing fine. I actually just turned this light on because it actually comes on at night, but I wanted you to be able to see it so the polyps aren't all out. But it just drains here. It is gravity fed from this, and lesson learned, I didn't have that standpipe in there, and so when you turn the system off, all the water wants to drain to its lowest point. So the water would drain up from upstairs to down here, which is great because the siphon would break. And then this tank would want to drain all the way down to that bulkhead, which would then drain into here, which then would drain into here. And there just is not enough capacity in this 40 breeder to hold all of those 30 gallons plus whatever from there, plus whatever from upstairs. So it only took that turning off one time and realizing what was happening for me to use this. So it just drains down about 1 inch, which may be, I don't know, 4 gallons, 3 gallons, maybe, and then it stops. So that's that. Fuge is doing great. I pulled almost all of the caulerpa. I don't know if we can get a shot of this. Almost all of the caulerpa I ripped out probably 2 weeks ago, and it grows back so fast that it's could already stand to be trimmed again. I'm using like 10 mils a day of Red Sea Nopox for nutrient control. That's it, no GFO. The mini reactor has nothing in it. I just let water run through it so it doesn't get stagnant. I could unhook it if I wanted to, but I just leave it on there. It's not hurting anything. It just diverts a little bit of the flow from upstairs, which is fine. I was running GFO on here. I've run biopellets before, but I just use 10 mils of Nopox and the Fuge. And I feed like crazy. I'm feeding my fish essentially every time I walk through the living room. I'm throwing pellets in there or something. And the phosphate's like 0.02, 0.03. Typically, I test with the Hanna checker, the ULR checker. every other day or every couple of days. I test the alkalinity daily, and with the kelp washer, which is actually, I moved it over there because it used to sit under there, but now the pump's there. The kelp washer bucket, as I mentioned earlier, 2,000 milliliters a day or thereabouts in 20 doses is keeping the pH up. pH stays above 8, and the alkalinity stays right about 9-ish. Maybe just a hair under 9. Which is, I've always run into issues anytime the alkalinity gets higher than that, so just for safety's sake, I'm not looking for the corals to grow at an exponential rate. So those are the biggest update is the return pump. So far, so good. It's working great. Honestly, and I'm not sure how it sounds on the video, the fan from the Fuge light is probably as loud, if not louder. Here, I'll turn off the Fuge light and we'll see what a difference it makes in volume. It's quieter to me. I'm not sure how it sounds on the video. But this is all going to be in a fish room. It will not make not one bit of difference once the walls are built. You won't hear any of this. You don't hear any of it upstairs as it is. And then that tank will be sitting here, probably like a 180, I think, like a fish only with live rock, maybe some aggressive fish or angels. It'll sit here, and then I'll just run the plumbing along the wall and around and into here. And I could tee off the return pump. I could cut in and tee off there. Or I could, gravity feed it off of over here too. We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's for a project down the road. Let's get the basement finished first, and then we'll worry about the tank. But those are the big updates for today, so feel free to ask questions and comments, and thanks for watching.